Tonight, 14 to 15% pay increase for nurses and midwives. That's the latest offer on the table. But what about those in the regions? And more than 18 months after single-use plastics were phased out of South Australia, New South Wales follows suit.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. The state government has put an offer to nurses and midwives in the latest enterprise bargaining agreement, a 14% wage increase. Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation CEO Elizabeth DeBars welcoming the offer as she meets with health workers across the regions.
It's the agreement nurses and midwives have been waiting for. Now the state government has put an offer on the table which will see a wage increase over the next 2.5 years.
Look, in terms of the detail, the vast majority of nurses and midwives would be able to receive about between 14 to 15%, depending on their classification, over the next 2.5 years.
An offer that Mr. Barr says will give nurses and midwives a strong foundation in the future if they choose to accept.
And we do think it's a decent offer that it puts nurses and midwives in a strong position to move forward. So we've considered the offer. Our council was actually recommending that nurses and midwives across the state accept it.
The Federation is eager to include more incentives for rural staff. The lack of accommodation an ongoing issue when trying to recruit health workers to the regions.
And will be incorporated as part of the agreement rural and remote incentives and other arrangements. Some of the issues that we hear about very commonly are the lack of accommodation.
After years of campaigning, the Port Lincoln Hospital has recently introduced security guards to better protect staff, a decision the union believes should have come sooner.
Look, this has been a long time in the making, and we absolutely thank all of the community and all the nurses and midwives involved in that campaign. It was really terrible that they had to be involved in a campaign which took more than 2 years.
The drafting process is still underway, but the agreement is close to being finalised. Nurses and midwives from across the state will then be eligible to vote. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The single-use plastic ban comes into effect across New South Wales today. While cafes have changed over to more eco-friendly packaging and utensils, residents may be surprised to know that some common household items are also on the list.
Moving away from problematic plastics, businesses and communities in New South Wales are bracing for the massive shift.
Back in June, we banned single-use plastic bags, and today, November 1st, we're banning more single-use plastic items like forks, knives, plates, straws, stirrers.
It's not just businesses affected by the changes. Household items such as cotton buds and personal care products that contain microbeads, like exfoliators, are on it as well.
About 95% of the rubbish and litter that's found in our waterways and beaches comes from urban streets, and the majority of that rubbish is single-use plastic items.
Some businesses across the state, including those in Broken Hill, had already started to phase out single-use plastics, making the transition into greener alternatives that little bit easier.
So many businesses across New South Wales have already made the shift away from single-use plastic items, and I want to say thank you to those businesses.
Some items like plastic cups and expanded polystyrene meat or produce trays are not on the banned list, but the Minister for Environment says there will be a review in the future.
This is just the first step in our transition away from single-use plastics in New South Wales. We'll be reviewing the bans that are in place, so watch this space because there's more to come.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Lincoln is set to welcome the first cruise ship to the Eyre Peninsula in more than 2.5 years. The P&O Pacific Explorer is one of the record-breaking 104 cruise ships scheduled to visit South Australia this 2022-2023 season. The first cruise ship aims to dock at Brennan's Wharf tomorrow morning around 6:30 a.m. The City of Port Lincoln will anoint the ship officers with a plaque to acknowledge its maiden voyage. Today is November 1st, also known as the first day of Movember, a month where those who can grow hair on their faces try to grow a moustache over the next 4 weeks. Now in its 19th year, there's still time to get involved.
A movement to change the face of men's health. As we move into the month of November, prepare to see men sporting extra whiskers on their upper lip.
The black, brown, red and grey ones.
Today is the first day of the fundraising event Movember, which asks men across Australia to grow a mo to save a bro. Funds raised throughout this year's Movember campaign go directly towards men's health issues such as prostate cancer, testicular cancer and preventing men's suicide.
With the funds you raise, the conversations you have, you'll help us stop men dying too young.
Since 2003, Movember has funded more than 1,250 men's health projects across the world, proving that even the smallest donation could help save a father, brother, son or friend. Inspired by the amazing fundraising efforts of previous participants, this year I too will attempt to grow a moustache and raise funds for the cause. As a TV reporter, I will attempt to grow something that would not look out of place in the film Anchorman. If you would like to support this cause, please visit the Movember website and search Edward McCarroll under the Donate tab. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
And it's not just Eddie growing a mo. Our reporters Henry Millick and Daniel Pizarro are also getting involved with Movember. The links to all 3 fundraisers will be posted on our Facebook page. Well done, team. Still to come tonight, the Silver City Cinema to reopen next week, the Musicians Club taking the reins. And prepare yourself for a punk fest in Port Pirie. Where and when is up next. Welcome back. It was announced earlier this year that the Wren family would be shutting down the Silver City Cinema, but instead the Musicians Club stepped in to keep the iconic theatre going, and now they're ever so close to opening up the doors for the first screening under new management.
It's not long now until the Broken Hill community can go and enjoy the movies on the silver screen once again, as the Silver City Cinema reopens to the public.
To be able to reopen the cinema for the enjoyment of the Broken Hill community. It's a meeting place, people enjoy coming and watching their movies on the big screen, so we're very excited to welcome everybody back.
The Musicians Club took over ownership of the cinema back in August, when its original owners, the Wren family, decided to stop operating the family-run business. Mr. Bowen understood why it was important for it to remain open.
Very important that the cinema remains open in Broken Hill. We're a larger remote centre, so you can't just zip down the road half an hour to go and watch movies on the big screen.
The club has already had a bit of a test run, holding a special screening of Grease a few weeks ago for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Day to raise money for breast cancer research, so it was a great day and lots of money was raised and lots of people enjoyed themselves.
Kicking off the opening on November 12 are 2 blockbuster movies, the DC film Black Adam and Marvel's Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
On that first couple of weeks, we'll be all down here learning the ropes, so we just ask everybody bear with us while we learn, but it was very important to get the doors back open so people could enjoy this wonderful facility.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta played host to rally riders retracing motor history today. They're commemorating the 53rd anniversary of the first London to Sydney Marathon by riding along the original route for this year's Perth to Sydney Marathon.
Petrol heads in Port Augusta had their chance to see motoring history roar into town today as the Perth to Sydney Marathon marks its halfway point. Road closures have forced organisers to make several alterations to the scheduled route across the state.
It's been fine so far, but unfortunately the rain has played havoc on our event. With all the planning that's gone into it, the rain has just knocked out so many of our roads with either being closed by authorities or just too wet to use.
The London to Sydney Marathon has been held 6 times since the first rally back in 1968. With the last one occurring in 2014. The original London to Sydney Marathon is regarded as one of the greatest moments in motoring history, and some of the original cars and people are here today.
And I was playing in rallies for about 25 years. did all around Australia trials, that sort of thing. And this was pretty tough today, incidentally, in the early part, very tough.
We've got original control passages. We've even going to Corn now, and one of the guys that ran that control in 1968 is running the control today.
The rally will reach Sydney on November 6th. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
For 12 hours, Port Pirie is permitted to rock, with 14 bands from all over Australia travelling to the city to perform in the biggest underground music festival the Mid-North has ever seen.
This Saturday, you can listen to live metal and punk music with the backdrop of the Flinders Ranges. The Port Pirie Punk Show coming a long way since its humble beginnings.
Port Pirie Punk Show was first started in 2018 and we only had 5 bands involved and no sponsors, no community support. It was just something that was thrown together at the last minute.
Since then, metal and punk music has gained popularity and support, and the festival is an event the community looks forward to each year, attracting a crowd you might not suspect.
We really like to have an all-ages vibe. We like to have families come down. It's a small town. I love to get the community involved. I think it's very important for the community to interact.
There will be food and drinks available at the venue, as well as earplugs for the kids and for anyone who likes their music a little quieter.
And we really encourage everyone to come down. You know, punk rock and heavy metal, it's just such an accepting, friendly community, and everyone has a great time.
Tickets can be purchased online at Eventbrite or at the door. The punk show will be held outside, ensuring there is plenty of space for everyone. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Meet the new president of Port Lincoln Racing. And the Adelaide Crows eye their 4th grand final appearance in the AFLW. Welcome back. Following on from the Melbourne Cup earlier today, Port Lincoln Racing is back, hosting its first meet of the season tomorrow. The club's new president is hopeful that racing in Port Lincoln can return to its former glory, welcoming punters back to the tracks.
Port Lincoln Racing galloping its way back into action. A fresh start for the club with a new committee and president at the helm. Tomorrow's meet is shaping up to be a good day for racing, which has been made free for all patrons.
Racing tomorrow is going to be, quite a fun day in that we're going to have full fields. We've got 9 races plus 2 trials, over 100 acceptances for the day.
The track already battle tested, with the club hosting 9 trials last week.
So we had trials here last Wednesday. They were a success, so we had 9 trials on that particular day. We had good feedback from all of the jockeys involved, and we're very confident that going forward that we're beyond our issues.
Despite the recent run of rainfall, it hasn't stopped the club from hitting their strides. The president is confident the track is ready for tomorrow's meet and is encouraging the community to come down.
The track itself is playing out beautifully. Currently, it's around about a soft 5, but with this wind that we've got here at Port Lincoln at the moment, we're expecting that we'll have a track upgrade for tomorrow.
Despite the club's issues both on and off the track, David is hopeful to turn a new leaf by putting Port Lincoln Racing back on the map.
What we want to do is we want to grow memberships, we want to grow sponsorships, we want to make sure that this is a destination that the community is going to be proud of.
The first race for tomorrow will jump at 12:45. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The final round of the AFLW was held over the weekend, with just one of South Australia's teams into the finals. The Crows take on Melbourne this Friday night, but Port Adelaide were left in a sorry state, finishing their season just above the last position.
Adelaide stopped St Kilda from marching on as the Crows eye their 5th grand final appearance and potentially their 4th win since the AFLW started in 2017. The Saints gave their opponents a scare in the 3rd quarter as the Crows fell behind, and a loss would have pitted Adelaide against ladder leaders Brisbane this week.
When we've had finals, I think in the first couple of years you just finish where you did and you played the grand final, but the double chance is really important. It means that you only have to potentially win 3 games and not the 4, and I think just that, hopefully we get the job done.
While the Crows fly for another day, taking on the Demons this Friday, Port Adelaide have finished up their inaugural season with another loss. this time to Essendon in tough weather conditions.
Pretty tough game, obviously very wet and windy to start with, and the wind kept up the whole game. Did dry off for us a little bit. We do love contested footy, which naturally the wet weather lends itself to that.
Powell went out by 26 points to the Bombers, scoring just 1 goal to Essendon's 5, having only won a single match, drew in another and suffering 8 losses. Nevertheless, players like their number 1 draft pick, Wales Hannah Ewings, have proven there's great potential in Power's AFLW team, with plenty to review before the next season. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We bring you the croquet and softball scores from the weekend. And will the cold snap be over soon? We'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. As we enter the warmer months, many sporting clubs begin their summer season. This week, we take a look at croquet and softball happening around the Spencer Gulf. Annabelle Francis has more.
The Northwestern Croquet Association started its summer pennant on Wednesday, October 12. The first game was held at the Crystal Brook Courts, where the Port Pirie team defeated the home side 36 hoops to 25. In the second game, Kelvin and Barb Russell from Crystal Brook made 5 hoops and were defeated by Barry Hutchinson and Sandra Arbon from Port Pirie, who made 26 hoops. 26 hoops is the highest possible score in one match, making this game pegged out, making all the hoops possible. In the final match, Fiona Hockey and Will Mahendry from Crystal Brook made 20 hoops, defeating Mervyn Nader and Lou James from Port Pirie by 10 hoops. On to softball. Spectators were treated to some great games of softball, with Sonia Manfield playing her 600th game for the Solly Cats. The first match was between Checkmates and Tigers. Checkmates batted first, with their first 3 batters dismissed early on. Tigers responded with a single run courtesy. In the end, the Tigers' batting depth let them down, and Checkmates defeated Tigers by 3. The second match was between the Cougars and Solly Cats. Cougars started off slow, but their batting improved throughout the game. In the end, the Solly Cats were too good, bringing in 9 runs to take the points to the final dig. The final score was 16-2.
Well done, Sonia. Annabelle Francis reporting there. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, it's unseasonably cold at the moment.
That's right, Maddie. The feels like was in the minuses in Cleve and in the very low single digits in places like Clare and Cummins. There was even snow around Mount Brian in the mid-north, but if you're after a taste of summer, don't have to wait long. By Sunday, the temperatures will jump back up to the 30s in some places. Taking a look at some of today's temperatures now, Port Augusta reached 18 degrees compared to 30 degrees this time last year. 15 degrees in Whyalla today, which is also around 15 degrees less than the same time 12 months ago. Cold in Broken Hill as well, reaching 15 degrees today. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, rainy in Port Lincoln, reaching a high of 16 degrees. Port Pirie was also 16 today and recorded 6 millimetres of rain by mid-afternoon. Cooper Pedy topped 20 degrees at around 2:45. Taking a look at the satellite image now, vigorous southwesterly airstream will ease over the next few days as a high-pressure ridge moves in from the west later in the week. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southwesterly winds 20 to 30 knots tomorrow morning, seas between 1.5 and 2.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell 1 to 3 metres. A shower or two in Port Lincoln tomorrow, set to reach a high of 17 degrees. Cloudy in Cleve, also 17. Woodner will get down to 6 tonight, heading for 18 degrees on Wednesday. A cloudy top of 18 on the way for Whyalla, 19 in Port Augusta. Cloudy as well between 5 and 18 in Kadina. A shower or two in Port Pirie, set to reach a high of 18 degrees. Some drizzle in Clare as well. 13 becoming cloudy around around Broken Hill, 16 degrees there. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Thursday's outlook. Showers in Woodna, Whyalla, Port Pirie and Kadina, temperatures between 18 and 20 degrees. Partly cloudy conditions in Port Lincoln, Port Augusta, Broken Hill and Cooper Pedy. Moving on to Friday's forecast, blue skies in the Opal capital, 25 degrees, partly cloudy conditions everywhere else, 24 in Woodna, 23 the top in Port Augusta, Port Pirie 22 degrees, 21 in Whyalla and Kadina, 20 in Broken Hill and Adelaide, Port Lincoln heading for a top of 19. And taking a quick look at how Saturday is shaping up, and by the look of this map, it's certainly looking more like November. Sunny in Port Lincoln, Kadina and Cooper Pedy between 25 and 29 degrees, 29 in Woodna, Port Augusta heading for a top of 27, Port Pirie and Whyalla will be partly cloudy and 26 degrees. And just quickly, Maddie, I can tell you it's getting warmer. I'll have those details tomorrow night. I'll see you a little later with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.